Good evening. Happy Wednesday. Welcome into the number one group of six college football show in the history of the world. This is the Group of Five Guys presented by FanDuel. If you're new here, our mission is to be the voice for the group of six football programs, the voice that the mainstream sports media absolutely refuses to be. We need your help to do that. Hit the follow button on all the social media platforms at Group of Five Guys. Go to YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, the Believe Network, wherever you get your best podcasts. Subscribe to the channel, leave a 5-star rating and a review, and most importantly, tell your family and friends all about us. On this episode, we're talking Maction, coaches feeling the most pressure going into 2026. We also got some breaking news the last couple of days. The 5 and 5 has passed. Supplemental draft not happening for our main man, Brennan Sorsby, and plenty more. Hope you enjoy the show. This is the Group of Five Guys, and we are coming to you live.
They got Old Dominion week 3, and ODU is by no means a layup. Group of Five Guys told me that, so that has to be true.
We looked at each other, we was like, Mike, the best place to be is a Group of Five. So I'm sitting here with the Group of Five guys, right?
Troy has won, it's been a winner, and it's a special place, so it's why you want the job.
But it's a ton of fun to watch a guy go to the NFL from a Nevada or a Colorado State or a Middle Tennessee or an App State, and fans follow that kid.
It was across there. You want to have this thing packed out, have the student section packed out, giving those guys hell on the sideline. I mean, that's part of it. I mean,
win or lose, like we're winning the tailgate.
There's no better place to be developed in this country than Boise State.
Jeff, we're back. The cocky, arrogant South Beach sports fan is back.
Jeez.
Giannis, the Greek freak, Antetokounmpo to South Beach. Pat Riley gets it done, Jeff.
Yeah, but who else do you have at this point?
You sound like these hacks on ESPN.
Look, I'm not down. I'm not
talking about
Pat
Eric
Riley.
Spoelstra and Pat Riley. You've never heard of Norris Cole until he starts playing with LeBron and Wade. You never heard of Gabe Vincent and Caleb Martin until they go to the finals all of a sudden, and now they get max deals and they're terrible again. You never heard of Max Strus gets a max deal in Cleveland? He's terrible. Not with the Heatles, he's not. They're going to go get you. You think they're not done? First of all,
are they not?
Rumors
I thought they have a very limited cap space at this point.
Yeah, but people are going to want to. They're going to take discounts.
Look, I'm not going to doubt the Don.
Your boy
of South
Klay
Beach,
Thompson.
but
The rumors are swirling. The ear in the streets that I have down there on Calle Ocho is telling me Klay Thompson wants to take his talents to South Beach. Your boy.
Why not? He loves being by the bay. He's by the water. He's a sailor, captain of his little boat.
That's all you need is some shooters now.
No doubt.
Because the paint is going to be clogged. Yeah, he could probably still do it. You might drag him out of retirement. You might get LeBron back down there.
Nah, you want no part of that guy. Trust me.
I don't know. As a second or third option, I'd take him. But it's been a great couple of weeks for South Florida sports. The Marlins are scorching hot. Best record in baseball over the last month. Got Yuri Perez back on the mound this morning or this afternoon, too. They're red hot. The Panthers, Florida Panthers, went and got Brady Kachuk brothers, both down in Sunrise, Florida. I mean, you want to talk about an offseason for the ages, Jeff. It's unbelievable.
And we've had a bunch of college football news over the last couple of days.
I know. Well, I was going to ask you before we got in that, Jeff. First of all, happy Father's Day to you.
Yeah, happy Father's Day.
I know we talked. Happy Father's Day to all the dads that listen to the show. Happy Father's Day to the football coaches in particular, whether you're biological dads or not. You guys are dads to like 100-something dudes every single year, and it is amazing what football coaches, how they can have an individual relationship with the thousands of players that they come across over the course of their career. It's unbelievable. So shout out to all the football coaches.
No
Happy
doubt.
Father's Day to all of them. But yeah, Jeff, I mean, so the first thing we got to talk about is the 5 and 5. So the clock, and this has been something a lot of people have been advocating for a while. So that officially is passed now. So essentially, what do we have? You get 5 years to play 5 years. There's no red shirts, so it's not, you don't have 5 years to play 4, which is kind of what it used to be outside of some exceptions. And now over the past 2 or 3 years, it's kind of been, you can play as long as you want to, as long as somebody's got enough money to pay you and you have a lawyer and an agent and a judge that's willing to make it happen. But I on the surface like this 5-5 thing a lot.
I do too. I think it's what some of the regulation is what has been needed. And is it absolutely perfect? No, but I think it's a big jump in the right direction. Now we'll see. We're already seeing lawsuits and court cases already getting ready to be lined up and entered in. But here's the nuts and bolts of it, right? So waivers will no longer be available to extend eligibility. They're putting that right in the can. There will be exceptions for pregnancy, official religious missions, and active duty military service, as long as the athlete does not participate in organized competition. The next part of it is for current athletes enrolled who still have eligibility after a 2025-2026 academic year, for incoming recruits who enroll for fall of 2026, schools will have the option to use previous eligibility rules or apply the new rules. Recruits that are enrolling in college in fall for 2027 and beyond will have the new rules applied to them. And then schools with current athletes who already have eligible for hardship waivers or eligibility extensions under the previous rules must submit those requests by July 31st of this year. After that date, waivers will no longer be available. So you got 5 to play 5. And essentially what that does is, let's see if I can find my other notes here. All right. You have 5 years of eligibility. Does not matter about red shirts or extensions. The clock starts when you turn 19 years old or your college enrollment, whichever is earlier. There you go.
Well, one of the objections to this that I've seen on social media is that, oh, well, now, the red shirt year is gone, so guys are not going to have time to develop. That was the reason for the red shirt, was to, bulk up and add muscle. And I get that. That used to be their reason for the red shirt, but it's not been that way. I mean, you got 17-year-olds. But yeah, what's a kid from Miami, Malachi Tony, who's 17 years old? He was a top 5 player in the country.
Yeah.
So and if they need to bulk up, so that's what some people are saying is, oh, now guys are going to force themselves, they're not going to, but if they need to bulk up and they're not ready to play, then they're not going to play.
Exactly right.
So it's, to me, that argument is null and void, because if they might not redshirt, but they're just not going to play. They're going to be on scout team, and they're going to be in a sort of a freshman. I promise you, they'll still do a similar, like a development group in the weight room, where those guys in season are in a strength program, not in a maintenance program, not in a, let's stay healthy using rubber bands program. Those guys are going to be squatting and power cleaning the day of the game. You know what I mean? And they're not going to play. So they'll be fine. And then it doesn't matter, because they'll get the 5th year. So they'll still be able to get their 4 years of playing.
It's the same exact amount of years. And you hit the nail on the head. And then if we can get the other piece of this, which I haven't seen anything about transfers yet.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen some other stories about it. But if we can go back to the old transfer rules, a little bit modified, where you have the one free transfer, you can do that whenever you want, and then it goes back to the old rule. I think if you piece that, fix and regulate the transfer situation, and you have this 5-for-5, then I think we're really cooking with something, because that freshman and your sophomore year, more times than not, unless you're just a stud ready to go, those are going to be your developmental years. Get ready, get bigger, stronger. That is going to be your redshirt, which most kids, for the most part, did that on the front end. You would be redshirted as a freshman unless they needed you right away, right? So it really doesn't change anything. What I think the biggest thing this does is this eliminates what we've seen the last couple of years, is sometimes 26, 27-year-olds competing against 18 and 19-year-olds. That is a huge gap. You're talking about, honestly, a lot of them, especially if you're like a late bloomer as a guy, like still almost a kid in some senses, playing against grown-ass men who are just physically more developed, more experienced than you are. So that's going to solve a lot of this and kind of narrow, the skills gap and the strength gap as well.
Yeah, I agree. And one could argue it's like, well, that's why we needed the redshirt year to catch up. But there's a big difference between an 18-year-old versus a 19, 20-year-old, and then a 19, 20-year-old and a 26-year-old is a man. That's when you start getting man strength,
grown man
and
strength.
dad. So you have that grip, that death grip. That's when you know it's somebody's an adult and a grown man, when they just got that death grip with their bare hands. And it's like, and you're not going to get people to take advantage of it, right? You're not going to be able to get these guys that take, a medical red shirt and then another red shirt and then another medical red shirt. And then, and these guys are playing, like you said, till they're 26, 27 years old. And we talked about this a few weeks ago too. I guess when we were talking about Sorsby and the irreparable damage, and that's what some of these lawsuits are going to say is like, whoa, I mean, or what if a guy gets hurt, 3 years in a row? And it's like, too bad, man. Again, this is not a right, and everybody gets to play, and everybody gets people have career-ending injuries all the time. So it sucks and tough, and I hate it for those guys, but that's life, man.
Yeah.
And is that not what college sports were supposed to be 100-something years ago when they decided to start doing it? It's like, we're going to develop people into being a certain type of young man or woman. It's that's what we're doing. We're teaching people to be grown-ups, and now and that's part of it, man. It's like, bad things happen, and you got to grow up and learn to deal with it.
How do you respond? You're certainly not going to get sympathy from two guys that tore their ACLs.
That's right. Right before their last season. I mean, yeah, you're not going to get it here. Not coming on this show.
No.
But then, of course, like you said, immediately you saw all the ambulance chasers. They're announcing it. They're not subtle about it. I mean, they want people to know. We've already lined up 55 lawsuits. Remember, it's this guy, Darren Heitner, and Robbie Downtown or something like that's the other one. And
that's real name, Robbie Downtown.
These guys, dude, man, can I back up a little bit here, Jeff? And I'll try to be careful, but this is a big problem with our society as a whole. This, we want to sue everybody culture. Do you want to know why, from generation to generation, it's been quote unquote, harder to make more money at work or to get a raise? You talk to older people who just go in there, shake his hand and ask for a raise. They don't do that anymore because they have to pay everybody the same because somebody sued.
That's right.
Or McDonald's has to put a thing on the coffee that it's piping hot and it would hurt if you spill it because somebody sued. You can't go get a hot and fresh pizza without it saying all across the whole box that it might burn if you touch it too soon because somebody sued. And that's what we're doing. We're doing this in college sports. And we try to blame the NCAA, and we try to blame this person, we try to blame that person, but all it is you can't make any decision, and you can't follow up on anything. You can't make any ruling because these guys sue for no matter what it is, no matter if it's 5 years of eligibility, no matter if it's a JUCO year of eligibility, no matter if it's a transfer portal's closed, but I want to transfer anyway, we'll sue for that. We'll sue for not enough NIL. We'll sue for too much NIL. We'll sue for whatever the hell we can sue because we're ambulance chasers and we don't give a shit about the kids. We're not doing it for the best interest of the kids. We're doing it for the best interest of our bank account, which is fine if we would just be honest about it. And these guys, man, it drives me off the freaking wall, Jeff. Off the wall. Anytime there's anything, the immediate thing is, what can we sue for? What a miserable way to live your life. I mean, my God. I guess they're rich, so whatever. And you know what else, Jeff? Sorry, I'm sorry. Sorry to interrupt you. You know what else? You can tell by the company they keep, because you know who's in the back pocket of these guys? The same NIL agents that are taking 20% from 18, 19-year-olds. Oh, but it's all about the kids, right? but you're stealing from them and you're taking advantage of them and you're exploiting the kids, not the coaches and the NCAA that pours into these kids that I just call father figures to anybody that's played the game. But these assholes, man, I'll probably get sued now for some, what do they call it?
when you said who it was, I was getting ready to say that Noah Rosenberger guy.
They're best buddies. They are. Look it up. I mean, go into it. I mean, it's not a shocker.
No, it's
and they're in each other's back pockets, and they handcuff the whole damn organization, the NCAA.
It's a shame, man. It really is. But that's the society we live in now, and it's the same people who, as far as I'm concerned, sit in their basement and write terrible reviews on restaurants.
Did you get a bad review today, Jeff? Did the Dominicos get a bad review?
No, not today.
Don't worry. I'm coming up there. I'm coming up there this weekend for a Laney special. I'll give you 5 stars. I might even 5-star both restaurants.
There you go.
Which one needs it the most? The new one?
No, they're both good. One's 4.9, one's 4.7.
It's pretty good.
I think so.
It's pretty good rating. Speaking of, if you're listening to the show, give us a rating on iTunes and Spotify and all those things. That helps. Helps the algorithm. When people search college football or search their team, we'll come up on there. Speaking of lawsuits and lawyers, it's not Group of 5 related, and it's really not related to anything we're talking about. But the Sorsby kid, there's going to be another. Well, he's got another lawsuit now because the NFL is not doing the supplemental draft, so now he's kind of stuck.
Yeah, well, what are you going to do? You're going to sue the NFL? That's a great way. Let's go about that. Let's sue the league that I want to try and I'm trying to actively get into, because that's the latest one that I saw. We're going to sue for whatever, and it's like, dude, you gambled, you lost. Take your chips and go home, pal. Take whatever you got left. Figure out a way. Go play Canadian.
He don't have it left. The guy's got a problem, Jeff. He's in recovery.
Go play Canadian ball.
Yeah, dude.
Or go play NAIA. You can do whatever you want for a year and then try and re-enter.
Dude, there's 39-year-olds playing for the Columbus Lions arena team over here for like $100 a game. If you really love the game, you can take your ass and do that. And if you're good enough, you'll keep moving up, and you'll get your spot.
Kurt Warner.
But hey, Jeff, I wouldn't be shocked though. I wouldn't be shocked if he was back in college playing this fall.
Not a chance.
Okay. So here's the question though. So Texas Tech, so he got what, $4 million in NIL? Like,
I don't know.
There's no contingency on that?
I don't know. Surely there is. There had to be something in that contract, because they're not just doing that anymore like they initially were with NIL. These schools, they put it in the contract. If you fail, basically, I don't know the exact wording, but it's like failure to complete your duties listed below, or like if you are kicked out or get into legal trouble, like that money's going back. And they didn't give it to him all up front. I guarantee it.
Yeah, probably not. But he wasn't kicked out, and
he couldn't play.
Not because of.
Yeah,
I mean,
but
could have.
It's in there. I'm guarantee you it's in there. They're not just dropping $4 million, being like, "Hey, no matter what happens."
The other thing, last thing before we get into Maction and talk about these head coaches is, you see, old Brian Kelly and his family are going to be calling Mountain West games. I'll tell you this, Jeff. It's so funny. Social media is so funny, and this national sports media is so funny. They're talking more about the Mountain West today than they have in 10 years.
Isn't that something?
Because Brian Kelly's going to call the games there. Now, look, here's the deal, dude. The guy coached for a really long time and had quite a bit of success for a long time. He's easy. He seems unlikable. I mean, maybe he's not. So it's easy to make fun of. But I like when they have a guy like that on, because they usually give pretty good insight during the games. But yeah, I'd be interested to see what it does to some Mountain West ratings. I mean, especially when you get those late night ones.
Yeah.
And I think, but who knows? We'll see. I'd also be interested to see, will he kind of go the Dan Mullen route, and will he be back on the sidelines at a Mountain West Pac-12 type school versus trying to go back to the SEC or something like that?
Well, I don't know what his financial situation is, but I'd be willing to bet he's probably okay.
Sure,
so he's not
doing fine.
Trying to get back into it for the money. I assume it's because he actually wants to coach. I just don't know. Especially that last stop. Players just seem to call him out as a fraud quicker than about any other coach I've seen in recent history. So I just don't see it unless he's able to just really be himself. But I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. Well, and it's weird because he just took that role as sort of a consultant for Coach Huff and the Memphis staff like a month ago.
Yeah, that's
It's
odd.
like, surely you can't do that anymore. You can't be
I mean, Brady did
I
it.
wouldn't think. Yeah, it's Tom Brady though.
Very true.
That guy does whatever he wants to do. I mean, Saban sort of does it still. Doesn't he still have an office in Tuscaloosa? But he's on game day, getting all access to all the teams every week.
I mean, that's Saban.
No
Saban and Brady. You're
there.
talking about.
You telling me Brian Kelly? Yeah, I know. So let's talk Maction. We've done a couple other conferences before. Make sure you check those out. We've done Sun Belt last week, Conference USA, and American already. We'll do the Mountain West and the Pac-12 as the group of 6 members. We'll do those next. And then, Jeff, we got to do some conference previews after that. Man.
Yeah, we're getting close. We're getting down to it. We got to figure out how quickly are we going to do them one a week? Are we going to do a couple a week? Like, how are we going to do this?
Are we going to go from 10 p.m. to 5 a.m.? What's our schedule going to be?
Yeah.
I mean, Jeff, I have aged 10 years in the past 6 months because of this damn thing. So anyway, a lot of pressure. I don't know about these coaches in the MAC. Let's start with the newcomer, Sacramento State, Alonzo Carter. I think there's some pressure here because Sac State went all in on football, coming up to the FBS, and then you lose Brennan Marion to Colorado, who was first time head coach, and they weren't great last year. What were they, 7-5? I think Sac State was. So I think Alonzo Carter is going to put pressure on himself as like, look, I'm the guy. We're making this move to the FBS, and we kind of are doing it on a 3-year. We're like doing it on a 3-year prove it deal, almost. And so here's year 1. Here's your shot. You know what I'm saying? So I think there's that pressure. I think there's a lot of outside noise at Sac State. Probably not much internally as far as the admin goes. I don't think the fan base has a ton of pressure, but I think the outside, your Mountain West fans, your Pac-12 fans, your other California schools. I think they're going to be looking here ready to talk trash to Sac State if they don't come in and win. So I think there's pressure there.
No, I agree. I think there's a little bit of pressure. I don't believe there's a ton, especially being the kind of new kid on the block. I think most teams that are new in a conferences sort of get a bit of a pass, but I do think there's a bit of pressure, like you stated, just because they are making a jump. It is in the MAC where you are traveling a pretty far ways. But I'll say this about Zoe. Coached in the Oakland Athletic League for very many years while I was playing at Alameda High. McClymonds was always good there. Goes on to Berkeley High, who we played and beat them, by the way, my senior year at Alameda. But he's always just been a good coach and a good winner, right? So I don't think that's going to change. He's at San Jose State. Now he's obviously at Sac State. Like, I just think he knows football and he knows how to win ball games. Now, this is a big jump, and you factor in the travel.
Mm-hmm.
I still think he's going to continue to improve Sac State's program.
I agree. And I think the thing that they're going to have to worry about a lot, Jeff, you know it and I know it, is a California guy and a Florida guy. California kids are going to have to go to Athens, Ohio.
Very true.
On a Wednesday night in November. And I'm not afraid to admit it, Jeff. You get in games like that, there's times when you're just like, I don't even care. Like, I just want to get out of here. Like, I just want to get off of this field and get into the locker room and get on the bus.
Yeah.
And so you worry about that a little bit for Sac State. Now, those players, I promise they're going to play hard for them with that added they're feeling it too. Because they're sitting there looking at these guys at Fresno, these guys at San Diego State, these guys at San Jose State, and they're sitting there thinking we're not in their conference, but we're FBS now, just they are, and we're in a conference, and we got to go win some ball games.
Well, you also know that they pulled some recruits because of the fact that they bumped up. So yeah, they're going to come out swinging. We'll see.
Well, I was thinking about that as I was looking at them and looking at their schedule a little bit and looking at the MAC, and I was thinking, California's got enough kids where they don't have to leave the state, or maybe they go to Nevada, maybe they go, whatever, get a couple kids from Hawaii. But I wonder if them being in the MAC, if Sac State can say, hey, there's a couple kids in Ohio we want to target. Now, Ohio's got like 7 Division I FBS schools in it, in that little, but you know what I'm saying? Maybe you can go get some Midwest kids that maybe wouldn't normally be going to it, and maybe you can balance out that recruiting, expand it a little bit.
That's a good point. I could see that. Come out here on the West Coast for a little while. We're going to get to go back there 6 times a year. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You can see your family. It'd be easy for them to travel, and you get to live out here for a little while.
Yeah.
Not a bad pitch.
Not bad. Let's talk Ohio. John Hauser, he coached the bowl game, 1-0 career as a head coach, kind of an unexpected transition there at the end of the season. I think the pressure here, we talked about this when we talked about James Madison and App State and some of these places. Like, the pressure's there because it's Ohio and the standard is what it is. And so it almost, to me, it almost has a little bit of like a Tulane feel, where they kept it in-house, like trying to keep some continuity going, but the continuity also requires a lot of winning. And so I think there's pressure there. I mean, that was the most popular response on social when we asked which MAC coach has the most pressure. I think more people said Ohio than anything else. But I think now you keep it in-house to try to keep everything together. And now there's an anxious fan base that's just like waiting to see. It's not a hell yeah, we got our guy, but it's not a, oh, I don't like the hire. It's just like, well, see what we do. So I think there's some pressure there.
Yeah, I agree. For the same exact reason as you stated, Ohio's been a perennial top, over the last several years, team in the MAC. So you want to keep that going. You don't want to fall off. So I think that's the only pressure, a little bit of fan expectation. I think the admin is going to have some grace. I think Coach Hauser is definitely feeling some pressure internally. Like, we got to keep this thing rolling. But I don't think it's a ton of pressure, though.
Yeah, and then here's the other thing, too, is depends on what happens over in Charlotte. If Tim Albin goes 1-11 again or 2-10, then it probably takes the pressure off a little bit.
Agreed.
At Ohio. Ball State, Mike Yuremovich. I don't think there's much here. I mean, this guy's won a ton of ball games. Okay. And I don't know what the expectation is around campus at Ball State, but who are you going to get? You know what I'm saying?
Tough
if
place.
It's not him. And that's kind of where I feel, you almost feel like it's like, and there's a few coaches like that in the MAC. You look at Creighton at Eastern Michigan. I feel like it's kind of the same. It's like, they've been there a while. They've won a ton of ball games, and you almost know like your ceiling is not a whole lot higher than where you're at. So I don't think he's feeling much.
No, I agree with you. It's just, there's a couple of schools that it's just a really tough place to coach and win. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, Ball State's kind of one. Now, I think he's done a heck of a job at Ball State. I think there's a lot, that they can still get to with him. But as far as pressure from fan base, I don't think so. Admin, I don't think so. Like, there's any pressure, it's just in-house of, come on, let's try and get this thing. Let's try and compete for a MAC title. That's what I think the pressure.
And they're not far removed when Mike New won there. And we look at the MAC, they never have a repeat champion. We've talked about this. And it's almost common outside of Ohio, Miami, and probably Toledo. Like, they're all up. They get 1 year where they're competing for a title, and then they kind of drop back to the 4-8, 5-7 range, and then they climb back up, and they have a random year, And so that's kind of where they're at with Ball State. UMass, Joe Harasimiak. I mean, here's the deal. I don't know what the expectation is at UMass. I don't think they have much. I think last year they had a higher expectation than they're going to have this year going in. But I mean, you got to win something, I think, this year. Like, you got to win a game or two. right? And I mean, you look at their schedule. They're weeks 2, 3, and 4. They have Sacred Heart, Stonehill College, and Sacramento State, weeks 2, 3, and 4. You lost to FCS Bryant by a point last year. So you get 2 FCS, and then you get Sac State, who's making the jump. I mean, you got to win 2 of those games, I think. You got to. Otherwise, you're not going to win any other ones. It's unlikely. You know what I mean? You're going to be dogs. You're probably going to be dogs against Sac State. You might be dogs against Sacred Heart. But they got to win 2 ball games, Jeff.
Yeah, I'd like to see what FanDuel's over-under is when they come out for UMass, because I'm willing to bet it's going to be 1.5. It's going to be right there at 1.5. So I'm with you. I think there's a bit of pressure.
Dude. Take the over. You got to root for 2 wins, Jeff.
I mean, you just said it. If they don't get it in those weeks, like, good chance they're not gonna. So we'll see what that looks like when those lines come out. I think there's pressure we gotta get some wins. We gotta see improvement. We gotta get in the win column.
That's right.
So I think there's a bit of pressure there, 100%.
Yeah. And I think too, like even in your MAC, even in your conference games, you don't have to win them, but you got to start getting close. You know what I'm saying? You got to start having some 1 possession games where you're in it and you're competing all the way to the end of the game. And then you can build on something for next year. And with this, now with this 5-5 thing, you're probably going to see a little bit less roster turnover every year. You know what I mean? Unless you have some guy that jumps off the tape and he goes somewhere, but you're probably going to be able to keep a lot of your guys. So if you can build and you can start developing, and you got a chance.
And that's where that transfer piece of regulation has to come in, because then these kids have to be a lot more selective of when they're going to go and where they're going to go. And that's all we really need. We just need them to have to really think about it. Like, is this the right move? Because this is all I get.
And
if not,
that's
I
right.
gotta
And
sit out a year, it burns an extra year, or you got to go down to the level below. So
yeah, well, that's so interesting, because as you were talking about that, I was thinking it's like you're right about being strategic, because would you see a kid that, let's say he's at UMass and has like a pretty good year, looks really good, started every game, whatever. Let's say it's a running back, 600-700 yards rushing, not like crazy, but shows a lot of potential. He's a freshman, but it's not like incredible. Does he transfer to, Rutgers after that year, or does he bet on himself a little bit and say, hey, I'll come back, I'll rush for 1,200 yards, and then I'll transfer to Penn State?
Exactly.
Or I'll freaking stick it out, you know what I'm saying, and just go to the league straight up. And then on the other hand, you're going to get guys that might transfer from a place like a Penn State or whatever, that transfer quote unquote down to the group of 5. And if they transfer early, then you got them. You can truly develop a guy for 3-4 years, and they're not going to transfer out again. They're not going to do, like some of these guys that, what's the Cam Cook that goes from TCU to Jacksonville State, leads the country in rushing, and then he transfers out again. You're not going to have that. Like Jacksonville State would have that guy have a Cam Cook again. And you'd be sitting there looking at teams like that saying, we got a chance to make a real run at this thing if you could keep guys like that.
I agree. And that's, as you were saying that's the other piece, right? Because not only do you have kids going in the portal to try and get a better situation or different situation, you got coaches being like, you better get in the portal because we don't see you, as a piece on this football team for whatever reason. And like you were just saying, Cam Cook, he makes that transfer to Jackson State. He's there.
Yeah.
Unless he goes down to the FCS, or he sits out a year. And most guys, they're not going to do that. Where he would, you said, he would be staying at Jack State, making his money, which was pretty solid.
We'll have to keep an eye on like an outrageous NIL deal that says, yeah, come on and sit out a year and we'll pay you anyway. You know what I'm saying?
Very true.
Keep an eye on that. And then the other thing too is a lot of times what you see, right, when everybody's doing their preseason previews and they're talking about the MAC or they're talking about whoever, and they'll say everybody gets all excited. The fan base gets all excited. Whoa, we got, 8 Power 4 transfers on the defense coming in. And then what happens? 7 out of 8 of those guys are not good. And they transferred to the MAC because they weren't getting any PT in the Big Ten, and they never saw themselves getting any PT in the Big Ten. And then they get to the MAC, and they weren't good. It was a miss on recruiting. Well, now you're going to be able to do a little more. You're going to know a little bit more because guys might give it another year. You know what I'm saying? So you're not going to just get a guy because, Michigan recruited him and signed him out of high school. And even though he's got no tape, we're going to trust their recruitment that this guy can come play at Eastern Michigan or Western Michigan. When now with a potential new transfer rule like you're talking about is like, hey, man, this guy's been at Michigan for 3 years. He was a highly recruited guy, and he has not played at all.
Yeah.
Maybe something's up. You know what I'm saying? And so you'll be able to be a little more disciplined in the portal too. Anyway, let's move on. Kent State, Mark Carney, we interviewed him a couple months ago, and maybe that's why I have this take. But I think they're just excited there. I don't think there's any pressure from the fans. I think there's all excitement. I think the admin is fired the hell up. I think he's probably putting pressure on himself, right? Because he's been able to get a little bit of culture, get that excitement. So now, Jeff, we've been talking about this for years. Like, what happens every time there's excitement at a Group of 5 school? Like, what happens when Middle goes to Atlanta and bludgeons Georgia Tech? And then you're all excited. The fans are like, oh, my God. And then there's just this letdown. Happens. It never fails.
Yep.
It never fails. NIU goes and beats Notre Dame, and then they come home the next week to a big crowd and lose. I don't remember if that's actually what happened, but that's typically what happens. So if you're Kent State and like you got this excitement, you got people kind of fired up, you got Josh Cribbs on the staff, you got a lot of momentum in the offseason. Well, now you got to go win some games and
that's
keep
right.
them. And we, here's the thing, man. And I look at them even just last year. Like they went 5-7 last year, but 3 of their losses, they were probably 5 or 6 touchdown dogs, right? They lost at Florida State, at Texas Tech, at Oklahoma, 2 playoff teams in there, and one that everybody thought was going to be a potential playoff team. So really, like 5-4 against teams that they had a real shot, that they weren't 5 or 6 touchdown dogs against. So, I mean, you take that at Kent State all day long. You get Drew DeShields coming back. I'm telling you, Jeff. I don't think there's pressure there. And boy, if they win a few games, Kent, Ohio is going to be damn rocking.
I can't wait for it. I mean, he fired us up when we got to talk to him. That happens a lot when we interview coaches. They have that aura about them. But no, I'm with you, Sprouse. I don't think there's a ton of outside pressure, mostly internal. But man, if they got a tough stretch at the beginning of the year, but
it's not as bad as it was last year.
No, not at all. But if they can stay relatively healthy through that and shoot off like gangbusters to start conference, Golden Flash just might be onto something.
I'm telling you. Let's talk Bowling Green. Eddie George. They gotta improve. They have to have hit on this quarterback. They got this kid from Oregon. I don't know his name. Can't remember his name. I didn't write it down. They got this kid from Oregon who's like a highly touted guy, highly recruited guy. But again, what I was just talking about is we don't really know.
Yeah.
I mean, Oregon recruited him, so he's probably got some potential for sure. But is he, Malachi Nelson? You know what I mean? We don't know. So they got to hit on that. And if they do, I was reading in the Athlon magazine and one of the little assistant coaches quotes, I don't know, it might have been talking about Bowling Green. It was like, if you have a quarterback in this conference, like it's pretty evenly matched up across the board. So if you got a quarterback, like you got a chance. So if this kid turns out, I think they got a chance. But Jeff, here's the bad news for Bowling Green and Eddie George. They open up with Tarleton State. No slouch.
Not at all.
Okay. I mean, Tarleton State's a good program. But then here's the rest of they're at Nebraska. They're at Iowa State versus South Florida Bulls going to Bowling Green. That's interesting. and then they're at Miami to start conference play. So, like, you better beat Tarleton. You know what I mean? But I think they got to be a bowl team to call it a success for him and to keep building that program.
Yeah, you just want to see improvement, right? You made the splash hire for the coach 4-8 a year ago, so you want to see an improvement on that. I think Bowling Green should be in the MAC conference competing for MAC titles. I really do. Every time we've seen them in person, they have always just been massive on the offensive defensive line. And shout out Ben Hale, friend of our families. I coached his younger brother Luke, who's friends with Dominic, just signed with Bowling Green. Offensive lineman.
Really?
This kid's like 6'4", 6'5", just massive, massive young man. So I'm excited to see what he can do up there at Bowling Green. Shame for Middle not taking him, by the way. But that's neither here nor there. Yeah, but I don't think there's a ton of pressure. I think the admin's happy. I think there's maybe a bit of fan pressure. I do.
Yeah, and I think there's some pressure because that's been the trend lately is hiring. Now, Eddie George was coaching at Tennessee State for a while, but like is hiring these kind of big name NFL star players with not a ton of head coaching experience. And so, I mean, I can't think of any of them that have been a big success. I mean, off the top of my head.
I can't. I mean, I'm sure they're probably not a big success.
I mean, you know, the media would tell you Coach Prime is just building a world-class organization in Colorado, but that hasn't panned out.
And permission 1 year,
You know what I mean? Yeah. So I think there's some pressure there, though, for like this recipe of how we're going to hire a coach. And then for Eddie George, like, look, the guy played at Ohio State. Like, let's not pretend he wants to stay at Bowling Green forever.
Yeah.
So, but you got to win. You got to win at Bowling Green if you want to go anywhere else. Let's talk Central Michigan. Matt Drinkle, a guy we interviewed last year. And I would say, Jeff, we kind of hit the nail on the head with predicting the way that they were going to play. I mean, it's pretty obvious when you talk to the guy and when you look at his coaching history. I think I think there's excitement there. They're trying to build now. I mean, they improved. They didn't have a great season, but they competed every damn week. And, you know, now they're looking to build on that. Can they contend for the MAC? Can they win 7-8 games? Their schedule's pretty manageable. However, they do have a pretty tough stretch right in the middle of October where they go at Ohio versus Western Michigan versus Miami. So you're getting probably the top 3 dogs in this conference. You're getting back-to-back-to-back weeks. But outside of that, man, Central Michigan's got a real good chance here, and I don't think there's a whole lot of pressure coming from any angle there.
No, I think there's an internal pressure and standard that Drinkle has. There's no question about it, but I think that's why you saw like a big jump in the way they played and the improvement that they made. Now, 7-6 a year ago, that's a good season. That's a winning season right there.
Yeah.
And they had a bunch of games that could have gone their way. You know, they ultimately didn't, but they were right there, right? Played hard, physical, smash mouth football. So I'm excited to see him this year. Again, I'm with you. Don't think there's a lot of fan pressure. I think fans are really happy. There's a lot of momentum behind this program. But I think Drinkle's got a standard, and his standard is we should be competing, if not winning, MAC championships.
Can I make a bold prediction, Jeff?
Do it.
Inevitably, when Jeff Monken takes a different job and he leaves West Point, Matt Drinkle goes back to West Point as head coach. That's my bold prediction.
Interesting.
Yeah, just top of my head, just thinking. People have wanted Monken for a long time, but I think they're scared to hire him at a high profile program because it's like a West Point guy. Can you do the same things you do at West Point with these kids? The answer is no, Jeff Monken. So stay where you're at, brother.
That's right.
It's right where you're at. You're in the right spot. Akron, Joe Moorhead. I feel like this is pretty similar to Ball State, Jeff. You hope for improvement. You want improvement, but there's not a ton of expectation there. But here's the deal, Jeff. Akron went 5-7 last year.
Did.
When I was looking at Akron and I was starting to do my MAC preview and looking at their coach, I was like, well, hot damn. I forgot they went 5-7. And like they won some games last year. And so there's hope. And here's the other thing, Jeff. You know who they bring in come play quarterback now? Reese Poffenberger. Remember Reese Poffenberger went from the FCS, went down to the U for like, I don't think ever even a season, and then went to North Texas. And in our preseason preview, I was over here telling you North Texas was a dark horse, not because of Drew Mestemaker, because of Reese Poffenberger. So now he goes to a place like Akron with Joe Moorhead, who's been coaching a lot of football, coached a lot of quarterbacks. So, we'll go back to my point. We were talking Bowling Green. You got a quarterback in this league, you got a chance. I mean,
I agree.
Hey, can you go 7? Can you flip that 5-7 and go 7-5, 8-4? You can win the MAC at 8-4.
I agree, and I don't think there's a lot of pressure. I think they're fairly happy. I think the admin's happy. I think the fan base is fairly happy with Moorhead, especially after last year. But if they start real slow, then I think that pressure starts to build. But man, the more you mentioned that about quarterbacks, and that's so true. I mean, it's true for every conference, right? But I do think when you look at the last couple years, the teams that have had great quarterback play have been at the top of this conference. I think it just, especially when you got a dual threat guy, right? So we'll see if Reese can.
Well, the conference is so there's more parity in this conference than probably any other conference in the country, in my opinion. I mean, you truly. I know we'll sit here and say any given Saturday, blah 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 blah, but like, you truly look at the MAC, and especially when you get a weeknight game with weather, anybody can literally beat anybody anywhere at any given time. And it happens every single year. Toledo looks like they're the clear class of the MAC, and then they'll go lose to a not great Bowling Green, and then they'll go, or they'll lose to an Eastern Michigan or somebody like that. So it happens all the time in this conference, and you're right. I mean, you try to go back to the champions of Brock Lowry, probably the best QB in the league at Western Michigan. They win it last year. You look at Miami's been good, and then you look at teams that have been good and then had a quarterback injury, Miami, and just totally fall off the map.
Toledo. And
you look at Ohio with the hell was that kid's name? Kid was a stud.
Yeah, last year.
Yeah, what the heck was that kid's name? We saw him in the bowl game the year before at the Cure Bowl. What the heck is that kid's name?
My mind's blanking too.
Slate. I know they had Parker Titsworth playing offensive
Parker
line.
Navarro.
Parker Navarro. Not Parker Titsworth. Something else Titsworth. You remember those assholes stole my picture of Parker Titsworth?
Who was
all
that?
the Barstool people?
Was that the Barstool guys?
I think they were circulating it. Somebody else took it as if it was their own. And, and I'm not a media guy. I'm not an art guy. But like photographers, that's a big, they don't like that when you use their content as your own.
Well, Sprouse, it just comes down to having a bit of couth.
And Jeff, if I was one of these people that had a damn lawyer on speed dial, you know what I'm saying? But I don't even think like that. I'm just like, oh yeah, awesome. They used my picture.
Yeah.
Sounds good to me.
It's like, instead of just stealing the picture, just tag us. Like, quote, tweet our picture.
That's all you got to do. Quote, tweet the picture, or say, CC, whatever, at Group of Five guys. Anyway, hey, Toledo, Mike Jacobs. This one is pretty interesting to me. Like Jason Candle won a lot of games and put out a lot of big-time players, NFL players. However, for as much success as they had, there was a part of that fan base that was kind of saying, why are we losing to Bowling Green? We should be winning this conference every year. Why are we losing this? Remember, this one game a year that we inexplicably lose. Why are we doing that? That falls on the coach. And that was kind of a knock on Jason Candle. Well, he's out of there. Go UConn. So I think there's pressure for Mike Jacobs to actually live up to the total expectations. Now, they don't have a ton coming back this year for him. So I don't know what the year one expectations are for him, but here's the deal, man. This guy's coached a hell of a lot of football and won a hell of a lot of games, mostly Division II level. But like, this guy, I the more I dig into Toledo, the more I like Mike Jacobs as their coach because he kind of reminds me of some of these other MAC coaches that have been around just a really long time. He's a guy that can build a program and sustain success for a long time. So I don't know that what'll be interesting for me is if they struggle this year, which I don't think they're going to be great this year as of right now, how quick they turn on him. Because I don't know, when you get used to winning 8, 9, 10 games every year, it doesn't matter. Like you just expect to do that. Even if you look at the roster and say we don't have anything returning, we didn't get a ton in the portal, whatever it is. But I think in year one, you're okay. Now, next year, depending on what happens this year, there's going to be a whole lot of pressure at Toledo.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think they'll get some grace this year, but definitely in year two, if you're not able to build on it or you have a pretty pitiful year one, there'll be a lot of pressure, but I think he's fine. I think he probably feels some pressure just from knowing what Toledo has been in this conference and wanting to reload right away. It's just difficult, man. It just really is. So we'll see. I'm excited. Actually, I was going to say something, but I won't. Yeah, we'll say it. We're going to interview the guy. We got him lined up for an interview at the end of July. So I'm excited.
End of next month, we'll be interviewing him. Yeah, we'll get him on.
Talk to him.
We'll ask him what kind of pressure he's feeling.
No question.
Let's talk Eastern Michigan, Chris Creighton. I don't know, Jeff. I know they want to see success there. That's a tough place.
Yeah.
I think you had a little bit of hype with the Max Crosby thing, and you got some money and all that. But I think that's his job until he doesn't want it anymore.
Yeah.
And that I don't think there's any pressure coming either way there.
No, I agree, 1,000%.
Let's go to Buffalo. Pete Lembo, by the way, fell for the hack, and I got to tell you, Jeff, because I fell for it too. It's really tough because it comes from somebody that has a podcast of some sort, and it says like, "Hey, vote for me to host this podcast," and it's like, yeah, I mean that makes sense. I mean that's why people were calling me like, "Dude, you got me bad." Because they're like, dude, yeah, I was trying to support the show. And I'm like, yeah, bro, I was trying to support somebody else's show. And you click the thing and then you're screwed. But Pete Lembo, he is like selling cars on Twitter. Whoever's hacked his thing is like selling like a blue 4Runner, which may like you could be like, oh, I don't know, maybe that's like something the local Toyota dealership did for Buffalo. So he is just, and so the main Buffalo football account had to come out and be like, our coach got hacked. You know how many kids were probably DMing him, coach, here's my huddle.
No question.
Anyway, pressure for him. I don't think there's much. The sad thing is I really thought last year was the year for Buffalo, man. And they disappointed, in my opinion. And so, I don't know what kind of pressure there is this year. I think maybe the pressure got to him a little bit last year. High expectations, got a lot coming back. And then, might have hurt him. But
that's where I think there might be a bit of some pressure from a fan base, at least. I don't know how the admin feels, but it's like, I agree. I thought last year was going to be their year to make a run, and they didn't. So why is that? How do people feel about that? I mean, again, Buffalo should be competing top of this conference. I do believe that. They're able to get some guys, and they've had some studs at running back, some great defenses along the way, but just haven't been able to put it all together. So I think there's some pressure there.
Yeah, well, and they lost their DC this year too, so that'll be interesting to see how their defense is. I think they should still be pretty solid when you look at their roster.
Yeah.
But we'll see. Western Michigan defending champs Lance Taylor, zero pressure, man.
Yeah.
I mean, the only thing that could be pressure is if he's putting it on himself to have another good year if he wants to take a higher paying job. It's the only pressure there. But I mean, but Jeff, as of right now, June 24th at 10:57 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I got Western Michigan running it back.
Yeah.
I don't see why not. Dude, they got Brock Lowry coming back at QB. Jalen Buckley is still playing running back for Western Michigan.
It's crazy.
I mean, I like this 5-5 rule, but my God, I mean, wasn't he the senior in Texas that started over Ashton Genty in high school?
I think he was younger than Genty. No, he was younger than Genty.
Yeah, are you sure?
They were on the same team, if I'm not mistaken, but Pretty sure.
I hope
Could
so.
be wrong. I don't know. But I'm with you.
anyway,
I don't think there's a ton of pressure either.
and I could see him, unfortunately, getting another job if they have another good year.
Yeah. I don't. We'll see. I can't remember the year. Haven't had back-to-back
I know.
back champs in how long?
A long time. I know.
Fields against them.
I know. Well, Jeff, that's it for the coaches, right? We got a couple voicemails.
We got one more.
Do we have one more?
Old
I gotta
Chucky
scroll
Martin.
Oh, well, come on. That guy's got zero. That's why I didn't have any notes on him. But yeah, Miami Chuck Martin. I mean, that guy.
He is Miami of Ohio, huh?
He is Miami. They'll put a statue with all the other coaches at that place when he decides he wants to hang it up, and that's exactly what it is, when he wants to hang it up. Now, here's the deal. Like, yeah, they mess around and start having losing seasons. Like, of course, the pressure's going to build, but so far, that ain't happening.
No, and that statue will have a vest on.
Hey, there ain't no doubt. And for guys like that, man, like you almost owe it to them because they could have left.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so it's guys like that you truly have a lot of respect for. But yeah, I don't think, it's like you got these guys like Creighton at Eastern Michigan. It's like it's his job until he doesn't want it. And they're not even really winning. I mean, Chuck Martin's winning at Miami. You know what I'm saying?
Competing for championships.
Competing every year they're in it. Every year they're a favorite or one of, and then they find themselves right there at the end of the year, every single season. Now is it them that always starts out like 0-4 and then just rattles off 6 conference wins in a row? Is that Miami that does that all the time? Anyway, that's it for the coaches. We got a couple voicemails. If you have a hot take, I'd like to hear some James Madison fans call in about North Dakota State and Sacramento State being immediately eligible to play in bowl games and play in conference championships. I meant to get to that to the top of the show, but we said a lot going on. We'll talk about that maybe next week, but I'd love to hear your take on that. 615-900-4286 is the hotline. Call, leave a message, 3-minute limit. We'll play it on the air. Jeff, let's see what we got.
Group of 5 guys. This is Little Liberty Arena on X. I was calling because there was a Liberty fan who called in on the last show that I felt like was a little extreme, a little unfair to Coach Chadwell, and had some unrealistic expectations. I'll be pretty quick. I just want to say, yes, Liberty does have the most resources in the conference, and there are high expectations. I mean, you should compete for a conference championship every year. You should probably be in the game more years than you're not, and you should win it more often than any other program in the conference. That being said, Coach Chadwell was National Coach of the Year in 2020. His record as a head coach is amazing. He's won multiple conference championships. He's known as an innovator in the game on the offensive side of the ball. And, I mean, he won a conference championship just a couple of years ago, went to the Fiesta Bowl, undefeated in conference play. And we've had 2 seasons of regression. Totally get that. But at the same time, we're playing in the wildest era of college football there's ever been. That's why we're having a Senate bill right now to try to fix it. I mean, you had a quarterback who was not one of his players and kind of sabotaged the team in the 8-5 season. And then he just whiffed on the next quarterback in the portal. And it's like, yeah, that's on the coaching staff for not getting the right guy. But a lot of the losses last year, 1 possession. And I think you bring in the right quarterback. You have the best offensive line in the conference, the best running back room. You bring in a new defense coordinator because the other guy in that scheme wasn't working out. I think that obviously coach needs to improve a lot this year, but I'm not out on him as a great coach. I do think he's one of the best coaches in the country. And if it didn't work out at Liberty, he would go have a lot of success somewhere else. But I think he's going to turn it around this year. And I think there are a lot of fans that are still with coach. And I just want to say I felt like some of the things said on the last Liberty caller were a little unrealistic. Thanks.
Appreciate the call. See, there's sides to both, to every fan base. Some like the guy. Some are like, what, we're going to give this guy a little more grace. I think they have an improvement this year. I really do.
I think that the Caden Salter saga set them back for a couple years. That's what happened.
Caden Salter or Caden Salter's father?
Well, Both. Well, I mean, his father for the decision making that went down, but himself for the play in that last year there. So, it's like the curse of Caden Salter, haunting Lynchburg, Virginia for the remaining for the rest of time. What else we got, Jeff?
One more.
Group of 5 guys, Josh Bevel here. It's a beautiful Sunday evening here in Paradise, aka Perry, Georgia. Just want to say happy Father's Day to you guys. Murph, Sprouse, happy Father's Day, and all the dads out there in the Group of 5 guys nation. I guess Group of 6 now, but Group of 5 guys nation, happy Father's Day to you fellas. Just want to talk about a little bit about Georgia Southern. I'll get my season preview here soon. Football season right around the corner, and fellas, I'm excited. Georgia Southern, I think we're going to be better this year. I know y'all gave y'all some belt preview. Y'all had some good things to say, some honest truths that, maybe some people like, some people don't. I don't really care. Georgia Southern fans are absolute chaotic, but, so are all college football fans, and that's okay. Like I said, I'll give my full preview close to football season. But I will say, boys, I was scrolling on the old TikTok the other day, and some Ashton Genty highlights pulled up on me. And boys, I got fired up. I mean, sometimes I just need to see a good Group of 5 guy highlight. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be anybody. Don't care. Just so happened to be Ashton Genty the other day, and I was like, damn, I thought about you, Sprouse. I was like, we were taking that walk around the field before Boise played Southern, and me and you looked at each other, and we saw them damn calves and glutes on Genty. I said, boys, it's about to be a long MFN day. It was. We started coming back on Boise, but anyway, I mean, Genty was just a freak. That's a true Group of 5 guy, true Raider, if you will, Murph.
That's right.
True Raider. But anyways, fellas, just want to check in, wish everybody a happy Father's Day. God bless the Group of 5. God bless the Group of 5 guys. Hail Southern.
Happy Father's Day, Josh, to you, sir.
Happy Father's Day. I may be spending some time in Perry here coming up. I will talk to Josh Bevel offline about that. That's exactly right, though. When we, I mean, I'm there as a neutral fan. I love Statesboro, but I'm sitting there looking at
Statesboro Sprouse.
So I know. Well, when Boise was in town, and I look over at Josh, look over at Lenny B, and Josh's buddy Cole, and I was just like, oh boy, it's gonna be rough, boys. And he had he went off in that game. That was another picture that got taken from me because I took the picture of the first Heisman post that he made on the season. And then next thing you know, everybody's, and he got robbed. But yeah, dude, we will see. Them highlights, that's what I'm telling you. I'm getting the itch lately. I'm really getting the itch back, getting ready for football season. I need less lawyers. I need less doctors. I need less media. I just need ball, dude. I'd rather watch Brian Kelly for 3.5 hours than see the junk I got to watch. So anyway, is that all we got? Appreciate the call, Josh. Happy Father's Day, my friend. Hey, look, if you like the show, make sure you subscribe to the channel, YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, the Believe Network. Subscribe. Group of 5 guys presented by FanDuel. Follow us on all the social platforms at Group of 5 guys. Tell your family and friends all about us. Hope you have a great rest of the week. We will see you next Wednesday. We're out of here.